Hello and welcome back to this tutorial series, and this should be the last tutorial. So here we have our standard imports, or what we're going to be using. Make sure to write them down, copy them. We're going to have our global variables of ID and page. Okay. Inside our navigated to, we're actually not going to make it async this time because we're not actually waiting for anything. So it's not going to be asynchronous. It's not going to have another thread running. Or it's not going to be waiting for another thread to complete its operation before it does what it has to do. So basically, you're going to create a new navigation context object, or not create a new one. You're getting the navigation context object as a parameter from the page we navigated from, whether it be the main page or the display page. And we set our page to it. Then we check if the page was equal to update, which means it means we came from the display context.xaml page. So what we want is to get the first name, last name, area code, and phone number. We also want to get the ID, of course. But the first four I mentioned, we're actually going to set that into the text blocks or boxes. I think they were blocks. So that it actually has entered the data already when the page loads up. That way you don't have to remember, oh, who was the contact I wanted to update? Oh, yeah, that's right, now I have to write his name again. No, it's already in there for you. So you're setting that up. You're getting the ID, but we don't actually edit the ID because we don't know the ID. That's something just the database should know. Something that's handled in the background, Okay, so once that's done, we're going to handle our two button clicks. Let's go with the cancel click first. What the cancel click does, it basically just navigates to the main page, and that's that. Apply click, what that does is you have your string create and your update string, and each have the represented links to wherever the PHP file is. Okay, once again, remember that your webhost.com is not a real URI. You have to use the one you used, or the one you got from where you stored your PHP files. Okay, URI equals URI, or URI, your URI, what we're doing is we're setting it either to create or update based on if the page is equal, it's update. So if the page equaled update, then we set it to update. Otherwise, we set it to create. This one, we're actually awaiting. So we do have to make this button click in async. So before we actually close it, we just want to make sure this is done. So we go over to web async, which is right here. What we're doing in web async is we're creating a new HTTP client. We're putting in all the value pairs, first name, and then we're getting the actual first name from the text box. Text box. We're getting the last name from the text box, and we're setting the key to be however it's written in our database. So this is exactly how it's written in our database. The first name variable is written just like that, last name variable, etc. And this is the data that we want to update or add to the database. So then, lastly, we check if the page equals update. If it did equal update, then we're actually going to send the PID as well. Otherwise, we're not. Because we're just creating an entry, a contact entry into our database, it won't have a PID because the PID is auto-generated, and you're just creating it, so it doesn't have one yet. Right. So now that we have all our value pairs stored into our list, we're going to encode them. Then we're going to send them in a post async request with our URI. We're going to await the response. Once again, we're going to read the content of the response as a string, and we're not doing anything with it again. But in theory, or in reality, we should. Okay. So now that the web async has finished running, re-navigate to the home page, to the main page. And that's it. That's all you do to update and or create a new entry in the database. Okay, so in case you didn't catch this, the way this works for both things is because it's sending in a URI, right, as a parameter. The URI could be either delete or update or create. The thing that differentiates an update is that it's sending in a PID, and the PHP file, what it does is it already has all the values that have to be entered, and obviously it does a different thing. It handles it in a different way if you send in a PID. So that's the only difference. Only difference is that you're sending in a PID value. And yeah, that concludes this tutorial of how to update, create, read, and delete entries in a remote database. Thanks for watching.